Hi, my name is Byrd, and I worked with Lead at Southern, and I'm going to tell you my favorite canvassing story. So, I heard a lot of canvassing stories before I started canvassing. I heard stories about terrible days, about miracles, and when I started canvassing, it felt kind of anticlimactic. I was like, okay, you sell books, great. And like you pray with people. Actually, praying with people was really cool. That part was not anticlimactic. But for the most part, I was like, there isn't a lot of like high moments or low moments. It was just very even keel. Um, and it was like that for a couple months. And then I think as spring started to happen, I started canvassing like right after Christmas break. And in spring, I had a day where for the first time I hadn't sold any books. And it was kind of discouraging, but I was like, you know what? This happens to a lot of people. Again, like I've heard a lot of stories of people not selling any books. This is weird because it's been so even keel for so long. And towards the end of the day, I was getting kind of discouraged. I was like, wow, like I haven't been able to leave a book with anybody. And not really anybody has let me pray for them. Like I feel like I haven't been making an impact, and I feel like I'm here for no reason. And so I was kind of just going along, doing my thing. I was telling God, like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know that canvassing is really good, and like, I want to be here, but this kind of sucks right now. And it was getting towards the end of the day of canvassing, and I got to the end of my row of houses, and there was this lady sitting in her garage. The garage door was open, and she was sitting in her garage in a rocking chair, just watching the sunset. And the sunset was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And she's just like this cute little old lady. I'm like, oh my word, you're so adorable. But I go up to her, and I like introduce myself, and I start to canvass her. And at first she's like, I'm sorry, like I can't buy any books right now. Like, things have been really hard. And I'm like, oh, like that's totally understandable. Can I pray for you? And she asked me to pray for her husband. And at this point, she started like going into detail about her husband and how he either injured himself or had a surgery, something like that, and he couldn't recover from this. And so since this incident, he had not walked. And she said that she was starting to wonder if he would ever walk again. And those words just hit me. I was like, wow, like this lady's going through so much. And there was a chair next to her rocking chair, so I asked if I could sit down. And we just started talking, and she was sharing like how she felt. And it was bizarre. Like she was a complete stranger, but she totally opened up to me. She told me that sometimes she just wished that her and her husband could jump in the car and like go to Dairy Queen and get ice cream together, but even just getting him out of the house was really difficult. Yeah, it was crazy. At the end, she did mention that she was trusting God, and that made me really happy. I was glad that she had a relationship with God, and that she had faith, because I don't know how else you would make it through that. But it seemed like she really needed someone to come to her and pray for her, or some type of like word of encouragement. And I was like, wow, like God, is this why I'm here today? Like nothing else has happened. Not even she can buy a book, but like at the end of the day, you're not there to make money. You're not there to get books out necessarily. Like you're there to share Jesus. So I'm like, this is probably why I came today. So I'm sitting with her, and I pray for her, and I pray over her, I pray over her husband, like I pray over her community, that like people would be able to come and help her. I pray over her finances. Like I'm just pouring out prayer over her because my heart is like going out to her and her experience. And yeah, I said amen, and she just like, she got a little teary-eyed. She was like, oh my goodness, thank you. Like I needed this. And right then she gets up and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna go see if I can find some money in the house. And I'm watching this lady walk through her garage to the door, and she's like hobbling herself, like she's an old lady. And I was like, this is terrible. Like her husband can't walk, and it looks like soon she's gonna need help. Anyways, it's very sad. And again, like, my heart went out to their situation. But she kind of was in the house for a little bit, and then she came back out with $2. And she was like, this is all I can find, like, here. And I took it, and I said thank you. But that situation was worth way more than $2. And she did not even have to give me $2. Like, I did not have to sell any books that day, and that was entirely worth it. So, yeah. And then I said goodbye. I think I gave her a hug, and I just left her sitting there watching the sunset. What I learned is that not everyone has crazy, lows and highs, but that God can still use you no matter what. And even if it feels like you haven't been making a big difference, or you haven't had like these big moments, like, God can use you in the smallest ways. And yeah, I just have faith, because He has a reason that you're out there, and He knows who needs to hear from you and who needs to be prayed for. So yeah.